The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in the podcast belong solely to the hosts and not the host's past, present, or future employers. Hello, everybody. This is Brian for Breaking Down Security. This week, you might have caught our episode with Mick Douglas a couple weeks ago. We decided to kind of break things up a little bit, kind of break up the monotony, make sure that we're not doing too much with one person over too many weeks. So last week we had a news discussion. And the previous week was part one with Mick. So this week is the finale of our discussion. We have another 30-minute segment here, or 45-minute segment here with Mick, talking about some of the things that he'd like to raise about the industry as a whole. A little FYI, when this was recorded, there were massive numbers of cyber attacks from certain countries. Everyone pretty much attributes them to Russia. I think every country is capable of doing so if they have a cyber capability, but that's what came out. And Mick has a consultancy, and he works with companies from all over the world and different industry verticals. So he tends to get some questions that cause him pause because it's his job as a consultant, because that's what he gets paid to do, to make sure that he gives his clients good information. So one of the questions he had been asked was, oh my God, I think I'm being hacked, or I've been hacked, or what have you. So we talk about the tweet that he had put out about his customers asking him about, what happens, if they think they've been hacked, or what happens if they got hacked. And so we continue on through that. And then we talk a little bit about some threat intelligence. We get our digs in about, from InfraGard, and, how slow some threat feeds move versus others. I still believe Twitter is probably your best bet, or Mastodon if you're in one of the hundreds of, groups there for that, if you're looking for those things. There's also Slacks and Discords that have that thrive in threat intelligence feeds and such. So, of which you can join our Slack and or our Discord. We talk about a couple more things this week, but I'm gonna save the surprises for the show. So go check it out. Hope you enjoy this. And full disclosure, I do apologize for my audio. I must have had something unplugged or some kind of input changed. So please forgive my audio for the past couple weeks on this podcast. I think things have gotten better and simplified. So appreciate your patience on my audio. So here we go.
You said you had a tweet. One of them was about, you've been getting calls from customers or clients saying, hey, I've been hacked, or, because this to give you an idea, this I think was almost a month ago back when Russia, started being more of a dick to the world and invaded Ukraine. You said, you've got customers asking you about whether or not you should be worried about being hacked by Russia. Do you think that there are a ton of companies out there that should be worried about that, or do the people who know that they're in the crosshairs of Russia are already aware of that? Are there companies out there that they wouldn't hack us? There's no reason to hack us, or is that something that people should be worried about?
So let's start approaching this from a couple ways. First of all, if you're a normal person online doing your normal online banking and paying your bills online, Russia's not going to hack you. They're just not. I was on my local news station about that, and they said, right. Well, couldn't Russia do that? No. Technically they could, but they don't care. Russia is not coming for you. Sorry, you're just not that important.
There's 6 billion other targets out there.
Exactly. Now, what Brian said is absolutely correct. Are you dealing with a situation where you are expected to be in the crosshairs? Yes. There are certain orgs that are going to be under the crosshairs, right? Surprise, surprise. Ukrainian targets are being targeted, but they've been targeted by Russia for quite some time now. So that's not news. So too with NATO member institutions. They've been targeted by Russia. oh no, like put on your surprise face.
Right.
Where things go sideways, though, is people like hear that and they say, oh, well, hot dog, man, Russia's not coming after us. We're sweet. And that is not how the internet works, y'all. Like, just because you aren't going to be the target of Russia doesn't mean that you're not somebody else's target. And one of the things that drives me up a wall is a lot of defenders do a really, really bad job of understanding how attackers are motivated and what they are gunning for.
Right.
And yes, there are attackers that will target folks, and like they're targeting you and only you, and there's not a thing you can do to divert them from you. You just do your best defense, make things as detectable as possible, and you're good to go. But for other folks, you need to be more worried about the to whom it may concern style attack. You know, if you've patched N-1 and the attackers have a really good tool that goes after that one that you missed, so you're going to get you. Attackers are either targeting you or they're opportunistic. And that makes it really tough as a defender because you're going to have to defend against the targeted attacks and the opportunistic ones as well. And what a lot of people hear is Russia's not gunning for us, sweet. And they just kind of do business as usual. And that's part of the reason why so many companies and so many organizations are compromised, is that they think that they only need to be better than the peers in their industry. Like if I had $1 for every time somebody asked me, well, where do we stack up among our peers? Okay, you're better, but like, have you read the news lately? Like your peers are getting popped with ransomware. So like, yeah, you're not face planting immediately, but oh yeah, okay, that's what you want to know. Okay, you're better than them. Good job. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me, and I'm getting a little jaded about that question.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like can you run from the lion faster than the other gazelle, right? Something like that. You mentioned opportunistic, right? You're less of an opportunity, I guess. So, but on the other side, targeting, how much of that is potentially competitors?
Well, it might not be competitors. The thing is, okay, it might be that, but most often where I think people misunderstand a targeted attack against them is that just because you might not have sensitive data doesn't mean that you aren't the target of a more advanced attacker. There have been many cases where social media companies were targeted because they would use that to pivot into their actual goal, right? I used to work at OCLC. This is public record, right? It's on my LinkedIn and whatever. I loved working there. WorldCat, what's up? Keep doing your good work, crew. At OCLC, we were a library not-for-profit that helped facilitate library technologies, right? Technically, we should be everybody's best friend. Nobody wants to destroy libraries. And yet, we were under some of the most advanced attacks all day, every day, because people would use our insane bandwidth, use our resources, and also a lot of the libraries had partnerships with different organizations, you know, whether it was universities or even private companies or governments. And we made a hell of a good pivot. And so a lot of organizations don't understand that an attacker is using them as a pivot. I've had I can't even say what market vertical they were in. It was a manufacturing company that, like, when they said, hey, the FBI contacted us and said that we've been compromised, we're totally confused that we would be compromised. We don't have, like, stuff we manufacture is old and everybody knows how to make it. The only reason they go with us is we're a brand name and we can out compete people on the price. And all of that was true. And yet as soon as I did the incident response, I realized that they were attacking them because they had an amazing government contract. And they were using this manufacturer of these, like the patents had all expired. I mean, it was nothing. Like they were right. We don't have any secret sauce. We're still a very major player in this space because of who we are. And they were just pivoting off of them. And so I think that many people would do really well to sit down and chat with somebody who has done IR for a while, because you're thinking of it wrongly. Attackers aren't always going to get the data. They aren't always getting the ransomware. Sometimes you're a jumping off point. That's rough.
Yeah, and I think Okta is a prime example of that. Okta has good security controls, so they got hit through the third party,
Yeah.
Which is how normally a lot of these breaches have come out. SolarWinds, not to bring Target up again, but that was how Target got hacked. And it's always going to be in many cases, it's going to be a third party before it's someone else, right? So Kimma Security said, better than them, try saying you're less horrible than others, but you're still pretty horrible. So I replied back, I was like, we're the best worst we know, or something like that. So, it's like, it's just like second place is the best loser or whatever. So
best smelling corpse in the graveyard, I guess.
That is very true. Yes. Best smelling corpse. Yeah. Okay. I'm getting lightheaded. Okay, I tried some more Dead Space. Okay, I tried some more Dead Space.
Couldn't do it.
I'm just dying inside. Now I'm scrolling back through a lot of your stuff. I mean, you've hit all the high points pretty much in the last month or so. Automated tools, the tribism of InfoSec. Yeah, that's one of the things that I got I wouldn't say drawn into, but I did reply to was the lack of what appears to be new voices or the echo chambers on Twitter and InfoSec and in conferences, and people had mentioned things like so our podcast, I tried to bring on as many new voices as I can, but there's obviously a different dynamic in conferences where people will only show up if the Kardashians are speaking, the Kardashians of InfoSec, if you will. And I use Kardashians because it's a train wreck on the Kardashians, so I assume it's a train wreck in InfoSec. But there are people that only go to conferences because they know specific people will be speaking at that conference. And I don't mean like they're friends or whatever, but it's right. Like, that person's there. It's why RSA gets, shit for like, having somebody who doesn't know anything about security keynoting it. It's like, are they really a security conference? That kind of thing.
But on the flip, I hate to throw shade at this. So I went to a conference where they touted that we will have only new presenters.
Yeah.
It was rough, y'all. It was really, really rough. Part of the reason that, the names draw is that you are going to be like, there's an edutainment quality to it that makes it very interesting. And, I don't know. It's
a double-edged sword, right? It's like Broadway versus a high school play.
Yeah. It's
like watching the high school version of Wicked versus, Indina Menzel playing, Elphaba or what have you. Yeah. I get it. And you're going to have people up there and they're going to be like sweating and they're like, hi, welcome to Fun with Flags.
Yeah.
I get it. It's one reason I've always kind of touted the podcast as being a little more new speaker safe and new speaker friendly, because as an audio podcast before, you can say what you want and you still hide behind somewhat of an anonymity, but I think and I'm not selling this, but we're always out looking for new people, so and new voices, and I think that things like this are better because you don't have a couple of hundred people sitting in front of you. You can kind of work up to it. Our meetup is the same way. But do you worry that, so to flip the script back in our direction, having only the same 5, 10, 15 people at every conference, and, all those people are great. The 5, 10, 15 that you think I'm thinking of, they're all great. I have no problem with it. I love them. They've probably been on our show once or twice for obvious reasons. They are a draw, sadly. Do you worry that if we don't have that new speaker track, that we're going to run into stagnation in our industry?
I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with having and celebrating excellence, however you measure it.
Right.
And as long as those people that are the frequent flyers are giving factually correct info that is actually helping move the needle, I think that's cool. Where I start having problems is, and I am not going to name any names, but I have had to send DMs to folks because I've seen their talk or I saw them on YouTube and they said things that just flat out weren't true. Maybe it was dated, it was true at one time, or, it never was true, or, hey, they maybe misspoke,
Right.
And for some folks, they address that and get it fixed. And then other folks, they've just kind of flipped it and they're famous for being famous. And I worry because it's really tough in this field for somebody to know, is this person an active practitioner that can stand and deliver, or is this somebody who can say things convincingly? And what I would like there to be is some sort of a, for lack of a better term, like a farm team system, baseball, for all its faults, actually does a really good job of, having a talent development pipeline where you can play in the minor leagues and work your way up through, single A, double A, triple A, and then take a crack at the majors. And I wish that there were some way of doing that with InfoSec. I also, to mix sports metaphors, I kind of wish that we had an equivalent of how the English Premiership has that relegation. You have promotion. If you're doing great as a minor league club, you can become a pro league club. But if you do poorly as a pro league club, you get kicked back down to the minors. And I feel that there needs to be some equivalent of that, and I don't know how that would work in a conference.
Yeah, that's true. I just think I could also see veteran speakers. What I love is what B-Sides LV was doing, and I actually thought about submitting one year, was you have a mentor and you have a mentee, and you have folks, hey, I'm a new speaker, I've never spoken before, I don't speak a lot, I spoke a couple times at a local B-Sides or something like that, and have veteran speakers tied, not tied, but hooking up with folks who don't speak well, so that way they can help carry the room or to help build confidence in that person. I really think that that's a great thing that we could do, and I understand that not a lot of conferences have the ability to implement things like that. But yeah, the people who can go to those conferences and speak all the time are in such a position to allow for that. I know that there are, I would say probably 90% of InfoSec or incident response people. Sorry, Kim. Sorry about that. But yeah, so I mean, I would say the vast majority of InfoSec people don't go to conferences, or they. Yeah, I didn't. And it's one of those things that if you're not on social media, if you are, you may check your LinkedIn once in a while, but we don't do a real good job in many cases of advertising conferences, or helping people understand the benefit of those conferences?
I'm gonna say something like you've been getting me to say spicy things. I'm gonna throw one real hell of a spicy thing here. I think that that would be a disastrous idea. I think that hacker culture needs to own that hacker culture is not InfoSec. They are two very different things.
Okay.
And if you look at the times that they try to mingle, it is disastrous. If you were doing a conference that was really geared toward InfoSec, at least as the broader IT security functions are done,
right.
You would have about 2/3 of the tracks on GRC issues,
right,
and then that 1/3 would get split up amongst like
IAM,
like vuln scans and oh my gosh, IAM track would just derail, right? And and then there would be a talk on pen testing.
Right.
And that's the thing that I kind of struggle with is I greatly enjoy going to the conferences, and I'm really just prior to the pandemic, I had kind of dialed back from going to the conferences just because I was getting a little burned out. I now need it. I need to be among my peeps. But I am reminded yet again, though, that there's a very sharp distinction between those two crowds.
Right. You've got so let's talk about that. A hacker conference is schmoo, whereas an IT security conference would be a B-sides, or God help you, an ISC squared conference event.
Yeah, ISACA, ISSA, like those sorts of groups are like
the respectable team, the respectable conferences.
Here's the delineation. Here's my litmus test, and man, I feel bad. Like InfraGard, I love y'all. You do great work, but here's what you do. You ask somebody, hey, InfraGard news flashes. What do you think? And if they're like, oh, awesome. You're like, okay, you go in this, you go to here. And if you're like, oh, this thing's stale as all hell, right? And cards face up InfraGard. I understand why their style is all hell. I feel for you. That's unfortunate. But don't sell it for what it is. Be honest, it's stale intel.
The next week, the InfraGard report will be on this company called Okta or something that got breached. So So that makes sense. So the IT security crowd, hello security, can you patch it on or patch and remove again or whatever. I ruined that joke. Sorry. That's for the IT security crowd, and the hacker ones are things that do not have a professional organization behind them.
Sure.
There's the compliance crowd and the certification crowd, and then there's the hacker crowd.
Sure. Yeah. And I realize that that's probably going to anger some folks. And there is overlap. There are people who are working in IT and go to the hacker cons, but by and large, a lot of the hacker conferences, they draw enthusiasts who might be IT, but might not. I mean, look at DEF CON. It's a party with some security stuff.
Right. Yeah, I mean, let me see all that. One, it was either the last DerbyCon or the one before that. I had signed up for some Python training, and I had been a PM. I was working on Leviathan still. I had been there about a year and a half, and I signed up for the training thinking, oh, it's going to be cool. I'm going to get in there. I'm going to learn some stuff. I was completely lost after like a day and a half, and then I was like, damn, I wasted a seat that somebody else more knowledgeable and more hungry could have used. I mean, I didn't even stay for the CTF. I was like, I had no dude's super smart. He knew everything. I was completely lost, and it was Python for OS hacking, and I thought that would actually be useful. You can go look it up. Spencer, I think it was Spencer Geitzen. Maybe not. Anyway, but it was a great class. You could tell that there was definitely some good content there, but I was just completely lost, and I was like, I knew it was like me, sitting in an astrophysics class asking about stars or something, and they go, "Oh, you're so quaint." And I realized at that point that I will never take training again at a conference because it's obviously not for me because I'm a filthy security TPM now. So. But yeah, I realize that, and that's that, and people are sad to see DerbyCon go, but I think it went at the right time. Um, this would have been the first year. It probably would have been back at the Marriott because it would have been impossible to do otherwise. 2019 was a perfect year for it to go away, and I think it was like the episode of Seinfeld. Everybody wants to see Seinfeld come back, but it went at its height of popularity. So what's the new replacement for DerbyCon? I keep hearing things like 614, Blue Team Con. Shmoo's never going to replace it because you can't ever get a ticket. So what is the Wild West Hackin' Fest? I'm moving to San Diego next year, so Far West Hackin' Fest will be definitely in my backyard. So that'll be nice to see. Is the Far West and the Wild West the same kind of temperament as what you saw at DerbyCon, or because I haven't been to it, I assume you have.
Very different. It's the closest in spirit, but they're different.
Okay.
DerbyCon was DerbyCon. The Wild West Hackin' Fests, I don't know. It's kind of close. It's the closest I know to DerbyCon.
Right.
I do like the one that we have in Columbus, the Hackers Teaching Hackers. That one's a very village focused one. That again, different than Derby, but it's super fun, and I'm always proud to sponsor that. I don't know. Some of the B-sides are pretty interesting. I've not made it there, but I love watching the talks at B-sides Augusta. That one's a very different B-sides event.
Yeah, you can play Spot the Fed there pretty easily. So.
Well, it's pretty. Yeah, it's you got a fair shot at it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's the guy with the laundered suit and tie, and actually he showered last night. So yeah, I've been a big fan of. We have B-side Seattle that's out here. I've also been to ones like Defend Con, and I'm hoping to get out to 614 or DerCon or something like that. Just to be able to use my travel budget, but yeah, we need like another good conference out here on the West Coast that isn't RSA or something. Far West is there. There's Sands and Ions events up here, but they're not really open to the public. I guess Sands Fires or the San Diego one where I got my GCIH that time. But yeah, we need another good big conference out here. I know we have PDX or besides PDX in Seattle, but it's just not the same, Anyway. All right, so let me go. I had one other thing I think we could probably talk about, and then we'll go. Okay, so this one came on March 17th, and it says, I don't even know where to start this rant. It's more of a plea. InfoSec folks, you've got to stop thinking in terms of absolutes. I think the greatest flaw we have in the biz right now is dogma. Let perfection be the enemy of good. You said there's no such thing as secure. You can, however, make something tamper evident. You can make something resilient. Okay, so.
What the hell kind of a pompous ass would even write something like that? It's me!
Is Mick Douglas?
Oh boy.
Yeah, something.
Yep.
Yeah. So security is hard, and I have learned that. We've had a couple shows talking about things like IoT security. Working and with product security myself, I understand things now that I did not understand before. And there's probably some podcasts that I wish I could go back and Control Z and say, the person who said this obviously doesn't understand how product security works, or sometimes doesn't work. And all we can do is, make something tamper evident. We can make something resilient. We're not going to make something completely secure, because you won't have a product then.
Dude, if you can go back, and you don't do that for every podcast, but just go through a couple and do that, like splice in you, like, for serious, like,
No.
like pause it and say, hey, y'all, like, I didn't know this. I think that would be a huge win.
Right, like
This is future me here.
Like Alton Brown, he went back and did some redesigns of his Good Eats stuff, and every time he'd interject, he'd be like, "Listen to this dumbass try to tell you something that's completely incorrect now," Yeah, or this was the prevailing opinion at the time. Don't blame me. Don't shoot that particular messenger or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is hard to do product security, and you can and you can want perfect security, but you will not be able to use that product, especially, if you are, the reason that there are vulnerabilities are because people have to create stuff that people want to use, or there won't be a product. And it's something that weird. It's weird things that you learn, and just, there's a balance. Yeah. And sometimes there's not really a balance. You know what I mean? We'll fix it in post is only there because they didn't even know that they should even think about those things, or what have you. So yeah, it's interesting. I think product security for me was like one of the last great frontiers, because I'd done a lot of things, and probably didn't do a lot of them very good, but I know enough that it's like, there's a lot of opinions that I've held in the last 3-4 years that I've been like, I was a jerk, and but yeah.
You know what though? That's good. That's showing that you've got personal growth, right?
Yeah.
But it is tough, and I think that what the problem that I struggle with is that security in and of itself isn't hard. Doing security, though, in a real world scenario where there's economic pressure is damn near impossible.
Right.
Like, it is
100%.
real easy to design, hey, here's how you secure the thing. But that thing might take an additional 12 months, 18 months to configure and get running the way that it needs to be perfect.
Right.
And in that time, if somebody beats y'all to market, guess what? First to market wins. And so it is really, really humbling to do InfoSec. Like, it just, like, you're always, a lot of times I feel that I'm choosing the least bad option. And now I still hate the CISSP test, but I at least understand the logic behind this least bad option, because that's a lot of what InfoSec is.
Right. Yeah. So my PMP, I was trying for the PMP because I was told that you need to have certifications like that to make it work. So I couldn't pass it. So I just went to the Agile side and got my Scrum Master certs. But, they have a risk management in their system, and it is all about, whether or not they can actually deliver. A lot of our security risk management isn't about delivering something. It's about, reducing the risk or reducing the harms. But the risk that we're trying to do is not moving the progress forward on the process. It sometimes is, halting that. So it's really, really odd, the need to be secure. Everybody thinks, at least has been in the last few years, everybody thinks that they can automate away the security, or they can, add a technical fix to something, when security could be just as simple as, we have process that says you can't do that, and we'll set up some audit trails, but some of it can be processed away or policyed away or something like that, instead of trying to put in a bunch of extra code. And I think that's where we run into some issues.
I don't know how we can even reply to that other than say, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're spot on. I mean, it's the main critique that I have for InfoSec is that a lot of times organizations will fall into this, hey, we've got this change window, so we have to solve this, get it right, and that's it. Like, we're never going to go back and change this thing ever. And
right.
So, I mean, and I want to be clear, right? There are organizations and situations where that's the case, right? If you're making an interstellar probe, like, right, you're working at NASA, JPL, you're going to shoot that satellite or that thing out into the cosmos. Hell yeah, you got to get that right. But,
yeah.
Or you're doing code for a nuclear reactor. Hell yeah, you got to get that right. But for most of us, oh, you mean we just need to readjust this form field? Okay, let's tweak and we're done.
Right.
Well, and, don't confuse one for the other. Even if it's like a lot of money at stake, you still can adjust. I don't know. I've seen so many security practitioners fall into this. Well, if it's not perfect, then like, why are we even here?
Right. We part of us moving or shifting left into being earlier in the timeline sounds great, but if we're adopting agile or like CI/CD type methodologies in security, security needs to also think from a terms of what can be done in the time frame allowed, and treat security as an iterative process. If we're trying to fix everything at once, that's why we get resistance. That's why we got 10 things that need to get done. Okay. And, you get enough discussion or process, none of them are going to get done. So, you have to treat those, and that's part of the risk management, risk reduction, those kinds of things, that you have to treat it as an iterative process, as something that's, constantly evolving, constantly changing, and, keep your eye out for new technologies or new ways to, automate those processes, like what we had with Shannon and Stacy a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, there's also, if you can't get things done and it's another team that you're relying on, which in a lot of cases it is, IT.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That could be a resource risk, and you have to highlight that as well. That is a security
right.
risk. If you don't have the staff on hand to reduce your risks, for example, vulnerabilities, then your resource risk is enhanced, right? As
right.
well as your vulnerability risk.
Yep. Sometimes resource risk can be worse than the vulnerability risk, because you may need the manpower to be able to fix those issues. So, I don't know. Mick, is there anything else you want to talk about? I mean, we're not over, because most good Twitch streams go 90 minutes, 2 hours or something, but it's a little long for us on the podcast. So what we'll probably do is I'll just take a couple snippets of audio from about 30 minutes each, and keep going. But you're not I think the last time you and I talked, you were in a hotel room. Is that a hotel room?
I am in a hotel room again.
Okay. Wow, that's awfully nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm traveling again about once a month. I'm traveling again.
Okay. How does it make you feel?
So in the before times, I was at about 75% travel.
Mm-hmm.
And I have totally lost the muscle memory. I used to be so much more efficient. I had the gate check for my week of everything, and then I had all my electronics in my backpack or in my roller that I could get aboard the plane. Now I need a freaking huge checked bag, like it's amateur hour over
Oh, that's too bad.
here. I have lost the skills. It's good to be on the road though.
Yeah, you missed the fun.
I did. I am one of those people that thrives on being in a different environment all the time, and being on the road is a great way for that. I do miss my I got a puppy during the pandemic, so I miss my pandemic pup. But other than that, I like being on the road.
Okay. Yeah, I am so my company's like, oh yeah, we should probably have a get together and let's fly down to LA. And I was like, okay, great. And they're like, oh, it's in 1620 May, and I'm just freaking out because I don't like traveling by myself. I mean, we actually went and caught between the Omicron and Delta windows there in Europe for COVID. We actually took a 2-week vacation in France and made that happen. But it was different, we were going on vacation, but this thing going for work, it's weird. It's like, I don't want to go and hang out with people I work with. I don't want to go and meet these people. I'm fine with them on my Zoom every day, where I don't have to worry about seeing them. But yeah, going and seeing these people face to face is like, I'm a little wigged out about that. It's odd.
So I'll tell you the weirdest thing about that is if you've never met a person in person.
Uh-huh.
I need to wordsmith that, but you know what I mean.
That is weird in and of itself.
Yeah, but if you've never met that person in real life, one of the weirdest things is you're like, oh, you're taller than I thought you'd be, or you're shorter than you thought you'd be. Like, it's really weird not having and maybe I'm a heightist, I don't know, but it's just I'm always I pictured you as being taller.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to thank Mr. Minus for following us there. Thank you for following us. Hope you're finding value in this. We'll probably run a rerun of this on Tuesday or something. But I was glad that I could work remotely. And when we move down to San Diego, there might actually be a couple of times where I'll have to have to fly to the Bay Area or to other places for work issues. But I actually liked working remote. I didn't have a problem working remote. When I moved up here to Seattle, I was still working with Mr. Betcher at the place we were at, and then worked there for 9 months and then got picked up at CrowdStrike, and I worked for 3.5 years and didn't go into the office. So I was okay with working remote. My thing is, it's like I'm in a room with people I don't know, and even though I see them every day, it's different than when you could actually go into the office and see these people from time to time. And yeah, it's just, I don't know why I'm ranting about it. It's just really weird. So.
What you should do is just periodically cover your eyes and say, hey, I'm turning off the camera. And then you get up and let them see that you're still wearing your pajama bottoms and fuzzy slippers.
It's a good idea.
That's how it should.
Yeah. Well, if they actually did see it, everything behind me is pretty much workout gear, which is, how I staved off the pandemic myself. But I mean, I'd have to clean up my office because, there's, elastic bands and some dial-in weights and my weight bench and everything. Yeah, it's not a pretty sight. So. But, yeah. What's this? Martin says, apparently we all missed out on Will Smith decking Chris Rock live on the Oscars. Oh, shit. Guess we'll have to catch the replay of that. I would actually like to see that. That'd be pretty funny. Well, obviously it wasn't funny to Chris Rock, but we'll see. Let me see. What to log? Yeah, okay. So I posted a link further up in the chat about your local media appearance. So for somebody, I see people on Seattle news all the time when they're talking about cybersecurity incidents, and I keep looking at this person and go, I don't know who the hell you are. because he's like, it's not a you, or it's not a John Strand, or it's not a Dave Kennedy, or somebody like that. It's not somebody that I know. And that we're going back to the veteran speaker thing, but there are so many cybersecurity people that the local media know that it's like, who the hell are these people?
Right.
I've never heard of your company, that kind of thing. How did you get involved with the local media? Do you know somebody there, or what does it take to become somebody that I know on TV? Because Mr. Betcher, we could have him on as our media arm. So,
in my case, it was somebody that I knew. So, a college buddy of mine, he's a producer at a local TV station, and I've just I won't say exactly who, but they had somebody on their show and they gave some horrific advice, like just out and out wrong advice. And I finally said, look, I've been gently saying, hey, have me on, but like, this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong. And I'm guessing I'm not going to be the only name or person that you hear from. And there were quite a few complaints.
Nice.
And so they said, all right, when we have the opportunity to, we'll get you on. And so it lined up because they, and it was super fun. It was actually pretty interesting. It was like a 15-minute interview, super fast, in, out, and done. And I highly recommend it if anybody gives you the opportunity to do it and you feel comfortable chatting with folks about this sort of stuff, give it a go.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, if you don't like talking in front of a hacker conference, you definitely will enjoy talking to media.
So the thing was, it was nice because I was still in my own home, and the guy actually did a real good job of putting me at ease at the start, because I was a little nervous because like the guy. I watch the news all the time and I'm like, oh, it's Tom. And I was kind of like weirded out for a moment. And then like he just asked a couple questions. Like he asked a couple questions that didn't get aired. And like I was like, oh wow, this is just a regular dude. And like then we were just having we had a little bit of a human moment because he was talking about how concerned he was that, his wife is in the home office, his daughter was in his study, and he was doing his work on the kitchen table, and he's like, well, could this happen? Could that? And I was like, oh, well, no, here's, and it just was okay, this guy's just kind of muddling through the pandemic as everybody else is. And then just chilled out and had a good time chatting with him.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. I remember being approached a couple times for websites or something. And I reached out to Steve D3. Well, this was a couple of years ago, but I reached out to Steve D3 because I was trying to figure out what kind of things they would be asking me questions on, and he was helping to coach me because he's like, the media will sometimes ask you a question expecting one answer, and they are actually looking for a different answer, and they will, not deep fake it, but they could paste your stuff together, or make changes to the audio to make I didn't say that for that question, I said that for this question. Oh, damn, So yeah, you have to think about what they might say, or what the unspoken question in this case. So
well, the trick that I did, if you actually go back and listen to the segment, I say things like, "Hey, Russia is not attacking you as an individual." I never answer just yes or no. You always tell them exactly what you want the soundbite to be.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good. Things probably, I do remember seeing more than one Twitter mention where somebody was like, oh, I was misquoted in this article, or I was misquoted on this interview. And, it's like, now I guess they're allowing for, proper question answering instead of, trying to be dishonest like that. So
I guess it depends on the media too. There's some folks that want that scandal.
Yeah.
Whatever.
If it bleeds, it leads. Yeah. Mr. Betcher, do you have anything else? I don't want to keep Mick because I'm sure he's got to get up early tomorrow morning and teach, and it's probably getting late, and it's 10 o'clock y'all's time. So I forgot you're in Austin, he's in Austin. So maybe y'all can get together and have lunchy times or brunches or something. So I'm not putting either one of you on the spot.
Sure, I didn't know that you were in Austin.
Just outside of Austin, yeah. I go in to Austin for work. Yeah.
Oh, well, so
I used to live there, but
okay.
Yeah.
With dinner some night? I would like that.
Yeah.
Legit.
How long are you there?
Until Saturday night is my last night.
Oh, okay.
Very cool.
Yeah, maybe so. We shall see.
All right, we made a connection. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm glad y'all can. It must be really nice to hang out with people and go to dinner with them and stuff. So
I'll email you some delicious brisket or whatever.
email.
Yeah, it'll be an attachment. Just open my attachment. Brisket.exe.
I do miss Salt Lake, man. Whew, man.
I got the barbecue places in Austin. So number one is this trailer in East Austin, just a stand. I don't even know if they're still in business. Number two would probably be Style Switch, and maybe number three, Blacks.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of controversial to put it that low.
What, Blacks?
It's man, yeah, it's fighting words, man.
Style Switch is pretty good though.
Yeah, very cool. Kim of Security, how would you download a pizza? It would be it would be really thin crust, paper thin, as a matter of fact, and it would taste awful. So, yeah, put extra little red ink on it, make it taste better. So, all right. Well, Mr. Betcher, do you have anything else you want to talk about, or anything you want to ask before we let Mick go? Give him another couple months of Twitter rants, and then we'll have him back on again. So
I'd be down for that.
I'm speaking of another Twitter rant that you did have. Somebody had asked about you doing some streaming of PowerShell.
Yeah.
And And to your point, like you said, I don't learn by video. Some people do,
Yep.
Some people don't. Some people are audio, some people are learn by doing. Some people like to watch and then mimic. But I would be more than willing to offer up our stream here if you don't want to have to set up all the infrastructure. I can walk you through that. But if you want to ever do some PowerShell tutorials or something without me, or just get on for an hour and hack on some PowerShell, I know some people would be down for that.
I will be. Yeah. I'm not sure.
No pressure. No pressure.
No pressure.
No, seriously.
I am now of the opinion that it needs to happen. It can't be until May. There's a couple things that are going on between the SANS teach that I've got this week and then some client work that I'm going to be doing in April. So I do want to do it. I like the idea. I just don't know how to make it interesting because it'll be dull.
Well, there are a number of InfoSec people on Twitch, other than myself, that do very similar things. Like they do reverse engineering of binaries and stuff.
And they're good at it. Like it's interesting. Like PowerShell, it's like, hey, here's this class, and it's not working as I would expect.
Well, when you deliver it like that,
it's
welcome to Fun with PowerShell.
Welcome to Fun with PowerShell. Now, here we go. Invoke fun. Set fun to amazing.
Oh my God. I never fell over. Oh my God.
We're having fun.
See, this is what fun is like. Join us. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my God. But yeah, so like I said, no pressure. If you've got other things you've got to do, and if we want to monetize this, I'm all in. If you've got to do something to pay the bills or make it look above board and legit, so you can write it off as a business expense or something, we can.
That's cute. I live in Ohio. Our tax laws are so bonkers that I'm writing this off. I just want to let you know. Yes.
Oh, fine. All right, I'll send you a receipt. Yeah, this
Nick,
is charity work, technically.
Have you ever deleted a tweet? Like
Oh.
maybe it was too controversial and you were like, okay, I'll take it down.
Yes, I have. I try not to. I had one where I really took somebody to task, and they really got upset with me about it, and they said they fixed the concern that I had, and then they asked that I remove the tweet, please. And because they addressed the issue and they were so kind about it, I actually did. But by and large, like I don't. I feel that I don't know, like right or wrong, like the thing about Twitter is that like you own it. Like there's a couple tweets that I've done that I'm not proud of. Like there's I don't even remember the particulars of it, but there's this one journalist that I really blasted because the title of the article didn't match what they were writing about. And I didn't know that. I did not know that. I thought the journalist was the one who made the title. I just pure ignorance. And this person was like, "Yo, that was not cool." And I was like, "Yeah, I know your title sucked." And they're like, "Yeah, but I didn't write it." And then I was like, "Yeah." And I've not deleted those. I own it. Like that was not proud of it.
That's okay. You know, it's you learn something that day. And, yeah. Some people have bylines and they didn't write the reports either, or the blog posts or anything too. So you get ghostwritten all the time when you get to a certain level. So you could get called for task for a blog post that you didn't write because a junior person had written it or something like that. I see and hear about that happening all the time. So thank you, Chemist Security, for your subscription. I appreciate that. Martin says, "Dream, this PowerShell thing isn't doing what I expected. I wonder what I can do with this. Reality, this PowerShell thing isn't doing what I want. WTF, I do this thing, stupid PowerShell. Or do this thing, stupid PowerShell." Yeah.
True.
It's complicated, that PowerShell. I mean, it's not only it has integrations into the OS that you don't see with things like Linux, and maybe that has changed when PowerShell came out on Linux. But it seems like that it was made for Windows to interact with Windows in API form, but I don't know how integrated it is with Linux. But yeah, it's
pretty good.
It's amazing.
It's an API glue. It's just weird. I was actually chatting with somebody about this the other day. I don't think I'll ever feel comfortable with the syntax. The syntax is just
janky. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it's just weird. No disrespect, Jeffrey Snover and anybody else who's working on the PowerShell stuff. It's just weird. That said, I will forever always go through the pain because what you can do with PowerShell is pretty freaking amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it just doesn't follow the same. It doesn't follow the same syntax like we're used to from Linux. Because we use the Linux CLI, so we're expecting certain things to work certain ways, or at least that's how I see it when I try to use PowerShell. A lot of tab completions for me using that. It's like I can't. I don't know -8 or -K or whatever for certain commands, but it's like for this, I'm tab completing like hell, or I always have to look it up because there's just so many different commands.
Well, yeah, the problem that I have is more like, in one of the Slack channels that I'm in, somebody was asking like this invocation of where using the where object. This works. This one, which is also like very different looking, also works. Which do you prefer and why? And when do you use one versus the other? And it's just really weird because I'm used to in Unix you usually only have a single way to do one thing.
Right.
And that's not true. Like, because it's PowerShell is an API glue, there's lots of weird ways and weird edge cases. Like, you might be familiar with get WMI object, and then you specify the different things. Did you know that there's a WMI selector primitive that you can do that does the exact same thing, and it's like super terse? Like, what? Like, why? What? Why? And that's how they roll. And so it's a very odd, just a very different way of doing things. And so, maybe a spoiler teaser in like 4 or 5 weeks when I finally start doing this stream, like you'll get to see me just going like, PowerShell, why you do? That might be like the logo. Like having like a rant face.
Nice.
As he's frustrated with it.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, Microsoft's PowerShell manuals, 950 pages. So I'm sure you've got more than a few, segments or streams that you'll be able to help and discover and work on while you're over there. So cool. If to keep you having to reduce the amount of setup for your Twitch stream and understanding how all that works, I've kind of already done all that. So, but yeah, if you do decide you want to do that, just let me know and we'll make something happen.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
I think we should let these fine people go. Mr. Betcher, tell people about what LogMD does and how people can find you on the interwebs.
Yeah, LogMD, the log and malicious discovery tool for Windows. Yeah, learn about how, what logs to. It kind of rolls along with what Mick Douglas was talking about in the very beginning. Where do I start logging? What log events should I grab, right? And so LogMD helps you do that and get started with defending Windows environments. log-md.com.
Right on. And your Twitter is?
@BetcherPwned.
There you go. Okay. Mick, tell us how people can find your lovely rantings if they're not following the Twitch stream chat online. And when I say rantings, I mean that in a good way because, I guess it's good only because I agree with a lot of what you say on there. If I didn't agree with a lot of what you say, I probably wouldn't be having you on the show. So,
so you can follow me on Twitter @BetterSafetyNet. @BetterSafetyNet.
Okay.
All right, that was it for part 2 with Mick Douglas. Hope you gained a lot of meaningful information from that. Maybe some things you can take back to your organizations and put some perspective on things, especially in terms of oh my God, I've been hacked, or ways that you can apply some logic to things that management might come into contact with, because management has different priorities than us security folks sometimes. So some of what we have to do is framed in how we explain ourselves and explain things, especially if it's in the news and they're unsure of what that means for their organization. So hope you got some good information from Mick this week on the show. Mr. Betcher can be found at BetcherPwned, BoeTTCHERPWNED on Twitter. Miss Berlin can be found at InfoSyster, INFOSYSTIR. You can follow me on Twitter at Brian Brake, BRYANBRAKE. And of course, you can follow our BrakeSec Twitter handle for updates on the podcast and any Twitch streams that we do on a regular basis as BRAKESEC. The audio podcast you're listening to can all 400 plus episodes can be found on our Libsyn page at breakingsecurity.com, BRAKEING security.com. And, Mr. Betcher, of course, log-md.com if you want to go check out a Windows forensics tool that will help configure your logs to get better information out of your Windows boxing. So there you go. I think that's it. Thank you to all of our Patreon supporters and all of our Twitch subscribers and followers for their assistance in giving us monetary and support to really validate what we do here. A lot of times it feels like especially creators such as ourselves kind of feel like we're screaming into the void. So I do appreciate all of our Patreon supporters, George and Shecky and everybody who give of themselves in the tip jar to make us feel good. So I do appreciate that. You can check out our Patreon. In the show notes, there'll be a list of places where you can go, or you can subscribe, or you can, just tell a friend, post up a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, wherever your favorite podcast catcher is. Podcast Addict is one of my favorites. So please check those out. And word of mouth is just as good, or if not better, than giving us a little cash, because exposure helps everyone learn and understand what InfoSec is about. So thank you all for doing so. That was it for Breaking Down Security this week. Hope you have a great week. Stay kind, be kind, think before you speak, please. Think before you post. Try to police yourself. Know that not everybody is in the same position as you. Maybe they're not doing so well as you. So just think about what you say before you say it. Allow everybody to, do what they can to take care of themselves. Because as we're fond of saying here, you're the only you have. And we'll talk to you again soon.